Welcome to the Market Huddle with Patrick the Content Machine Serezna and Kevin the Macro Tourist Muir. So grab a drink, get comfortable, and get ready for a deep dive into the markets. Take it away, guys.
It's December 13th, 2019, episode 58. I'm Patrick Serezna.
And I'm Kevin Muir. This week, Patrick and I are going to take a tour of the markets, playing a new game, Breakout or Fake Out. And in the WTF video, we're going to watch Krugman going to the Greek.
And we're going to get to Kevin sharing a tale from the trading desk. And in This Week in Trading History, we're going to go back to the panic of 1825. And then we're going to get to the top 5 things to watch this week, or next week, that is. Alina, why don't you come on to the show here and tell us who the sponsor for this week's beer is?
This week's sponsor is Granville Island Brewing Company's English Bay Pale Ale.
Now, I'm the only one who's trying this for the first time, it appears.
That's right.
That's right.
This is, it's my favorite beer. And
without even trying it.
Well, I know it. I drink it all the time. So it's my favorite beer, and I don't need to say very much. But Lena likes it as well. So, Patrick, you're the only one who hasn't tasted it. What do you think?
Well, it doesn't suck.
I think I just chugged mine. Mine's like half gone already.
It's delicious.
I love it. It's my favorite beer.
It's definitely sessionable, and it's good, and it's going to be a good night. Yeah. All right, let's do this.
And you know
Kev.
what, Patrick? And it's not just me sucking up to the Vancouver people by liking their beer.
That's right. Yeah. So this is the Granville Island. So we're in Granville Island, Vancouver.
Yeah.
How the hell did we
Vancouver.
get it out here in Toronto?
I don't know. Anyway. Okay, let me do my legal stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing in this podcast should be viewed as investment advice. Listeners should consult an investment professional before making any decisions regarding topics mentioned in this show. Side effects of too much huddle may include beer cannibalism, fake out or breakout acne, and or trade talk Twitter sores.
All right. So Kev, let's go on with the show. So for this part of the episode, we're going to play a game. We're going to play a game.
I like it.
We're going to
Patrick came up with a new game.
A new game. We're going to put up all of our some of the big macro charts and even some individual stocks if we want. We're going to take a look at it, and then we're going to each make a call whether it's the breakout's for real or it's a fake out.
Got it.
All right.
Let's hit it.
Let's hit it. So let's just start with the most basic one that I'm sure everyone's already seen. Let's just start with the S&P 500, right? So we obviously a lot of tailwind here off of the source from Twitter from all the news of a potential trade deal. S&P 500 breaks those 3150 highs, almost touches 3200. Is this a fake out or a breakout?
I'm going fake out. I think we're going to get into a little bit of chop here, Patrick. I don't think it's all clear sailing from here until year end.
There you go. You know, what's interesting is it is going to be quad witching. 3,200 is a big gamma level. I don't think we beat 3,200 this week, upcoming week. I think that we fade off of this high as well. So everyone be warned, the market's probably going higher, right?
That's right. When you and I agree, it's for sure going to do the other thing.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Dollar. Now, this is an interesting one because all right, I want to make the call on the dollar, but rather than making the call on the Dixie, so we have the dollar index breaking down below those October lows around that just above 97. But it really does depend on which currency we're looking at. So rather than making a broader call on the Dixie, let's actually go to some of the components. And starting with the euro, obviously the biggest cross. Now, we had an attempt to break out above those October highs, and the euro today gave it all back, popped above 112 temporarily, back down almost to 111 again. Was that is this going to follow through and come back for a breakout, or is this a fake out?
It's headed higher.
It's headed higher?
A lot higher.
Okay.
I think this might be boring, Patrick, because I think I'm going to be like all the currencies are headed higher. But let's see. I got one that I'm for sure is not headed higher, but all the other ones I think I like. What do you think?
I No, I think this is a fake out. I'll take the other side
Okay.
of the trend.
You think a prairie
I
dog.
think we
It
gravitate
was a prairie
back down
dog.
below 112. So
Okay.
So pound sterling. Now, obviously, elections were the big catalyst for this breakout above 131 all the way to 136. Was this kind of the reaction where it kind of blew it off and we're going to fade off of the top, or is this a real breakout and you think it's going to keep going higher?
You know me, I love selling a new high that kind of gives up its gains and feels like it's the emotional top. There's nothing better than like waking up and finding your position up 300-400 points. You sell it and go the other way, and then that ends up being the top, and it goes lower from there. I don't think this is the case in the pound, though. I think that fundamentally something huge has changed, Patrick. I think the real orders are still to come from the big money. I think this thing grinds higher for a long time to come.
All right. Well, listen, I'm not going to actually take the other side of your coin for the longer term trend, but I actually think that for the remainder of the year, the top may be in for the next few weeks, and I actually think we can easily see it fade back to like 131. And that this entire temporary breakout is going to be given back. But I'm not suggesting that that's like a big reversal for a bear trend. I just think that we've seen a short-term top. All right, let's go to, I'm going to flip it, US dollar yen. Is the US dollar going higher or lower against the yen here?
So the U.S. dollar is going lower. I think that you're going to see the yen be one of the strongest currencies in the next little while, Patrick. Yep. I'm a yen bull, but baby.
I'll take the other side of this clearly. Actually, we have a bet on this. So there's enough
We do,
said.
actually.
Yep. And it's actually very high stakes. Very high stakes. 112.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It was for the Market Huddle menswear.
That's right.
And
that's going to be ugly if I lose, but actually, it's going to be ugly either way. No matter who
112,
loses,
104
it's
are
going to be
levels.
Ugly. Yeah, I'm not looking good. You're so far so good for you, but I still think the yen's headed.
But I think it's actually the U.S. dollar is going to break out against the yen here. I think we're going north of 110. I'll take the other side of your trade.
Okay.
All right, sold to you. So Chinese renminbi.
So the Chinese renminbi has been strong on the news of the trade deal. I think that strength is finished. I think that we will go back to the weakness. In fact, I think that the trade deal is going to prove to be a bust, and a lot of things.
So this is a fake out.
Here,
fade it.
Fake out. Yeah,
I'm with you. I'm with you. So it's going to do the opposite.
Be careful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go. My favorite one: Canadian dollar.
Right. Are you a seller, or is this going to?
Oh my God! You sell this with both fists and your feet as well. This thing's headed lower. That's how strongly I feel. So, which means it's probably not, because whenever I have strong conviction on a trade, like my number one trade is never my best trade, Patrick. I've learned through history that you should probably do my second and third trades and do less of my first, my top pick.
And is this your number one?
I would say that this is probably my number one trade right now. You know, especially from a tactical short-term trading point of view. Like, obviously, in long term, I'm a huge bond bear, and that's where I think that's the number one trade for me. Yeah. But in terms of like the next couple of months, yeah, I think the Canadian dollar's headed a lot lower.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. So this is the do you want me to flip it upside down to the?
I don't
US
care.
cap?
You do whatever you like. No,
so
that's fine.
This is the Canadian dollar.
This is the futures way. This is the way that we trade them at the CME. So I'm fine.
Yeah.
With it.
So the Canadian dollar is hovering around 76 cents. Do you think that if oil breaks out here and if commodities are strong, that could temporarily allow the CAD to strengthen to the top end of the ranges? Like, is that a concern at all for you, or do you think that the economy is going to dominate here?
This is the pushback that I got on my piece that I wrote, and people started telling me how in a global upturn that we would have the Canadian dollar outperforming the rest of the currencies because we're a petrocurrency. Well, you know what, Patrick? I think the U.S. Is becoming just as much of a petrocurrency as us. Yeah. And not only that, our economy out west is struggling. It is so bad out there. I see that the vacancy rates in the office towers are 26%. And yeah, no doubt the bottom is probably in. I see that we are actually managing to get some pipelines going. and the worst is probably behind us. But to think that this is going to cause us to boom because the oil, bounces $5-10, I don't think it's going to happen. Not only that, Patrick, we don't trade WTI, we trade the Western Canadian Select, and I could see a situation where WTI heads up $10 and Western Canadian Select stays, depressed.
Right. You want to do the Aussie dollar? Look at this Aussie dollar.
Well, wait, you didn't tell me what you thought about CAD.
I don't want to Gucci
my
trade.
trade.
I don't want to Gucci your trade. I'm just going to.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Yeah, good man. So Australian dollar. It also tried. It tried to looks like a prairie dog as well today.
Yeah, look, it tried to break out and gave it all back. And what I'm curious about whether the CAD and the Aussie dollar kind of trade at the hip. They've often had correlations. You've obviously tried many times to play the Aussie CAD, right? But so far they've actually in the last couple months had a bit of a correlation. I mean, they more or less.
Well, for sure they moved together, and I was a big odd CAD bear. I covered that, and if anything, if you forced me long or short odd CAD, I would choose long without a doubt. I think Australia is advanced in terms of their correction in their housing and stuff, and we're just starting.
All right, you heard it here. So let's. I'm actually in the same camp as you, though. I think that's a prairie dog. I think that on the short term, that's.
Oh, I actually am not. I don't necessarily think the Australian dollar is going lower. And in fact, if you made me buy or sell Australian dollars, I'd probably buy them.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not. I am not.
I'm
a global economic bear.
In
fact, I'm a huge. You know what, Patrick? When I didn't mean to interrupt there, but one of the things is that we didn't do the Dixie, but let's go back to the Dixie. Let's do the whole index. Go back to the top before we kind of move on from currencies here.
Right.
The Dixie broke down, and I know there's all sorts of bulls telling me why it should go higher, but it's broken down. And fake out or breakout, I'll throw it back to you, Patrick. Which way?
Oh, I think that the breakdown is a fake out. I'm still a dollar bull.
Sold to you. I am a huge dollar bear. And
now, with that said, I want the fine print in here. On the short term, we could go down to 96. I just am a buyer down here. I think that in the next point lower is going to be a bottom. I'm not calling the bottom today, but I think we're much closer to the short-term trading low.
Well, here's something for you, Patrick. I don't think we hit new highs. I think this is it. The highs are in.
What, the 100, as we approach?
Yeah, whatever that tick was, 99.50 or whatever. The highs are in. The
highs are in. What kind of, you going to give that for next year? Do we have a bet here?
I don't know. What do you think? So
I'll take the other side of that. I think we're going higher.
Okay, so that's what, 2.5 higher? So I'll take 95.
No. It's so simple. Does it not make new highs next year? It's very simple. Does it beat the high or not? That's.
I'm just trying to think if that's a fair bet. Nah, shit, you're on. Okay. No, because that's not fair. It's too much of a one touch. Let's do 99.5. No, let's do 99.5 or 95. Which one it hits first?
Ooh.
I'm giving you 18. I'm giving you 18 points, 18 ticks of vig there, buddy. You gotta take it. Patrick,
all right.
Stop.
What are we doing? A burger bet?
Gotta do a burger bet.
All right, burger bet it is.
There we go.
We're gonna have to add that one at the end.
Someone's gonna have to write this down and we'll remember.
No, we'll put it. We'll put it on the slides at the end because we got our archive.
Oh my God, you're not going to Bitcoin, are you?
I was just gonna mention it.
Fake out or breakout.
All right. It's been, but it doesn't. It hasn't even moved. It's been pinned. We haven't. There is no breakout, right?
Did you see the study that they said somebody's been looking at it, and there's some whale that owns like 30% of the Bitcoin float that is responsible for every single rally? Have you read this?
No, but I could imagine that.
Yeah, and one of the things that you remember back, you love Reminiscence of a Stock Operator, terrific book, I do as well. And if you remember back to the points when he talked about how he would orchestrate getting off size.
You run it up and sell on the way down.
Yeah, you never sell on the way up. You sell on the way down.
Run
you try
it up
to get,
and then,
and then you just plug it the whole way down as people try to buy it because they think it's cheap versus where it's been. So you run it as high as you can, and then you sell it all the way down. I 100% feel like there's somebody doing a reminiscence of a stock operator, like that pool operator play in Bitcoin. Send me all your hate mail. I know, I'll get I'm a no coiner. I get it. But that's what I think's going on there, Patrick. And so if we get a rally, it's just another chance to sell.
There we go. I'm with you, actually. Yeah, I'm with you. That's scary. All right. So crude oil. Was this a breakout?
Geez, I haven't looked at that chart. And it's a good looking chart, actually. I like it. I'd set it higher. I'm always, you know me, buddy. I'm always a crude oil bull.
No,
it's like, what day of the week is it? Is it one of the ones that ends with Y? Yeah, if it is, I like crude oil.
I'm a bull on crude oil too, so everyone be warned. We're both bullish on crude.
We're screwed. We're screwed.
But what's interesting, I was waiting for Brent oil to actually make the breakout to new high, and it attempted to make the breakout out of its little kind of 1 month range, and it didn't hold it. But you know what?
This is a great day to play this game. You know why? There's a lot of things that today
attempted to make that higher high and then gave it back.
Right. It's a terrific game. Let's keep going. I love it.
Because it's almost like there's potentially a huge amount of prairie dogs that all happened. It was like a prairie dog party today.
That's right.
And it
looks like the Winnipeg Zoo on a hot summer day. You ever been there? I'm telling you, if you go to the Winnipeg Zoo, they got the greatest prairie dog exhibit ever. It is awesome. It's the best part of the zoo.
It's so easy to take care of them.
No.
You can just go into the field and just grab.
Yeah, it's like literally they have a squirrel exhibit. It's kind of strange, but I love it. It's just awesome. It's like, and you watch these little critters. They're great little guys. Like, you got to love a prairie dog. It's a noble animal.
You know what? We got to figure out. So Atul, one of our listeners, sent me a picture of him drinking a beer that somewhere out in Alberta that's actually called the Prairie Dog.
Oh, we got to get that. Please, someone send us a Prairie Dog.
No, but we were trying to figure out. You can't ship beers very easily through like Canada Post and shit like this. So the thing is that we have to figure out somebody who's going to drive across Canada that can bring this stuff.
That's right. You sound like a European that comes to Toronto and says, you know what, I'd like to drive to Vancouver. How long is that going to take us? 4 days? 5 days? Okay, let's go on. Next one.
But if one of our listeners is going to do it, understand they would be a champion in our books if they managed
That's right.
to do.
They would forever be immortalized. The prairie dog.
You would.
Yeah. Okay, next one. What do we got?
All right, so
copper. This thing's running, right? It's running like it stole something.
Yeah.
It's really strong.
You know what? A technical measured move just finished. Like I was talking about the breakout up to about this 280, 285 level. Now I just think that it's going to temporarily pause up here. Maybe we'll see $3, but I'm not bearish. But I think the short term move is done.
Really?
Oh, well, I just think that we're going to pause maybe for the rest of the year. And probably in the first quarter of next year, we could see 3. But I think that we're done for this year.
I don't know.
I'm making the call. I'm making the call. I'm
I'm going to take the other side of your trade just because it's fun when I disagree with you. It's headed higher, man. It's headed to $4. No, $3.50.
Uranium.
No, do you know what? 1 second. Back to copper.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing I would like to talk about is that the copper gold ratio.
Yeah.
I think it's signaling that that maybe your favorite long should be sold heavily.
Really?
Yeah, copper gold moves with interest rates.
Yeah.
Can you pull that up, or is that hard for you? Can you get that easily?
I can try to figure it out.
Let's see if we can get that chart. Copper gold, because that is one of the greatest trades out there that kind of is under the radar. I kind of worry about it because unfortunately Gunlock uses that one.
Yeah.
And I'm always suspicious of him.
Yes. So do you want copper divided by gold or gold divided by copper?
Copper divided by gold.
This is copper divided by gold. That's not the right chart, is it?
No, that's okay. Now put yields on there.
All right.
Can you add yields or no?
Yeah, I can. What do you want? 2 year?
No. Like use a 10.
A 10?
Yeah.
All right.
By the way, I finished my beer.
Did you? That's pretty impressive.
That's how much I like this thing. This thing's awesome. This is the greatest beer ever. I don't know why I like it so much. I just love it.
There you go.
30-year-old recipe. You know what? People from Vancouver, they grew up drinking it. It's like Labatt's 50 for them. Like, it's just like, that's a standard beer. See how that goes together?
Yeah. The correlation's clear.
Yeah. So it's one of those ones, like, if, I'll write a post about this one time, but I think the fact that copper's running so much and meanwhile gold's stalling is a sign that the global economy is reflating. And that's why yields are backing up. Well, anyways, we'll get to yields. We got a lot to talk about.
We're about to get to yields, so let's leave it at that.
But interestingly enough, so my point is that I think being such a bond bear, I can't help but be a copper
bond bear again.
And the other thing is, I don't think anyone's talking about it. This is one of the things.
Really?
I think it's one of these that I just feel like it's kind of snuck under the radar. It's all of a sudden it's gotten.
I was on the Wolf of Bay Street guys show, Wolfgang.
Yeah, Wolfgang, good old Wolfgang and Jack.
Good old Wolfgang, yeah, and Jack, they're great. And Javid was on there. We made a bet on whether or not we're north of 2.25 on the yield. A Duke and Duke bet on his show, and so I took the obviously under. And so we'll find out whether I'm right or wrong.
Oh, my God. How much are you going to lose? Bet, yeah, you are a fool. Let's go on.
Fool.
Let's keep playing the game.
Cooper.
Let's keep playing the game.
Uranium. Look
You're
at that.
not really doing uranium now. You're not really doing
participation.
Uranium.
Yeah, we're doing uranium participation.
But that's not really like uranium. That's like a closed-end fund subject to the thing moving.
Anyway,
not only that, that's in Canadian dollars. Uranium's traded in US dollars. Regardless, maybe it's kind of short-term, gotten a little ahead of itself. That thing's headed higher, super higher. You'd be a fool. I pity the fool, Mr. T, to sell that thing.
I'm with you on not selling it. All right. I actually think that this is a buy on dip. I'm good with it. All right. Okay. Gold.
Yeah. So this one I have trouble with.
Well, it's been consolidating. It's literally been in a $30 range for about 5 weeks. It's tight. It's wound up. It's gonna go. Which way is it gonna go? Higher or lower? Right now, make the call.
Oh shit! Really?
Make the call. Okay, I'll make it first.
Higher. Because I'm a dollar bear. It's easy for me.
All right. I think it's going higher too.
Oh, we're screwed.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna go to 12.
Sorry, everyone. We fucked it up.
Yeah.
All right.
Silver.
It's interesting. You can draw this nice little trend line along these highs. It's like, will it break out? That's going to be a really interesting one.
This thing, silver is just like the crack cocaine of precious metals, right? Like it's just no, really. Look at the percentage change. Like that thing was $20, and yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like it really is. It's just kind of like if you want to.
It's gold on steroids for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's move on. Okay. So, if we're bullish gold, we're bullish silver. Okay, that's done. So let's go to the one I want to talk about. Breakout or fake out on wheat. There's a bullish engulfing candle coming out up along the top.
What does that mean? Whoa. Stop right there.
It's when the green candle. It's when the green candle engulfed the prior little red one there.
Really?
It's a bullish engulfing candle coming out of.
So wait, so you have a little red, and a red means it opened higher and
well, it doesn't have to be red. It has to be a small candle, and then the big green candle engulfs it. Like it started below it, and then the whole day it spent rallying way above it, and it just engulfs the prior day trading.
Okay.
And so, but it's a bullish engulfing candle coming off.
It sounds fancy. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Bullish engulfing candle. Sounds like you actually know what you're talking about. You kind of surprised me. Okay, so you got to buy this. Like you got to buy wheats because you'd be again just an idiot to sell this stuff. I know that people like
okay. So
traders.
Are we going to the? Are we going $6? Are we going up there? The 6 handle.
Okay. You know what, Patrick? Like the people who really trade this, who really know it, they're going to be laughing at us right now because they're going to be like, "Wheat, you should." Like I saw some guy, he had this chart. It's like never buy wheat. I think that Bart Simpson's where he does lines like that that meme that everyone does. It's like never buy wheat. I completely and utterly understand that these things are separate you from the money. Your money from your wallet. But the reality is that one of these days, these are going to go. Like they're going to go like nobody's business. So you will never catch me selling these short. I don't trade them very often, but when I do, it's going to be from the long side.
This looks like a good chart. Every dip, higher highs, higher lows, rolling up. It's just got some overhead resistance here that it's got to beat. But so far, the price action is very accumulative. It's good. It's healthy, actually.
Okay,
and
there
so
you go. Patrick likes it.
I'm bullish. But now the question is, does corn catch up? Look at this consolidation on corn. Obviously, corn had the big, huge pop and drop in the summer, and then it just made this entire consolidation wedge, and it's attempting to break out. Is this thing go with? Are we about to see corn try catch up here?
I don't know. We need Angie to tell us.
Yes.
The
Where's
goddess
Angie
of
when we
grain.
need her?
Yeah, I don't have
We should
a
bring
clue.
her on.
I barely could tell them difference in the field. No, I can't. I could tell the difference between corn and wheat.
All right, so higher or lower?
Pretty sure I could.
You're still higher. You're going to say higher on all the.
I know.
grains,
I'm
right?
just gonna say higher. I'm the
Okay,
worst.
and so just
guy
we'll
to
look at
ask
this, and this is your soybean chart, but it's higher.
So if anything, I would actually probably not buy soybean because it feels to me like everyone trades like soybeans based upon the Chinese buying it. By the way, we got to talk about this. This is kind of a funny thing. Do you realize that they're talking about like $40 or $50 billion of agriculture purchases?
Yeah.
Like it's like the total amount sold like in the entire world is $40 or $50 billion. It's like redonkulous. Like it's just the stupidest shit I've ever heard. There's a reporter from Reuters that talks about that continually. She goes through and she kind of debunks the idea that these things are real numbers. And then the other thing that I kind of find amazing is that they're sitting around and they're talking about coming up with, the Chinese are going to buy the Americans' soybeans. Well, you know what? If the Chinese bought the Brazilian soybeans, whoever usually buys the Brazilian soybeans would
buy the US
instead
ones.
buy the American soybeans.
It all works out in the end.
Yeah, it's just like it's a commodity. Like this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in terms of what they're negotiating for. Anyways, I you know what? Out of all the ones that I'll take the soybeans I like the least, Patrick.
Okay. You know what? And from a chart pattern, I think the corn and wheat look both better than.
Well, there you go. It's almost like I knew that intuitively.
Yeah, intuitively, you're that good.
Yeah, not really.
So, Kev, it's time to jump to the 10-year Treasury yield. Now, you've been spectacularly wrong year after year on this one. And
Sorry, I was just choking on the bullshit you're serving up.
And you lost bet after bet. You've been shamed on this one, but you know what? You just cannot let this one go. This will be your undoing. This is your widowmaker, is it not?
No.
No.
It's gonna be my.
See,
retirement.
you realize you and Jeffrey Gunlack can be in your little. Inflation's going to be 2.5%, and the 10 years going to 3%. Is that you? Are you in this camp? This is where we're going.
Oh, I'm probably even higher.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what? Let's save this actually for an episode because we've just made a burger bet. So why don't we just hold off on another bet? But we're going to have to do the part 2 of this bet for the 2020 year. We'll do it in the next couple of weeks because I'll take the other side of your bet.
Okay.
On the short term, forget your long-term view. On the short term, it popped higher, 10 points, dropped almost the entire 10 points back. We're down at 180 for the rest of the year. Higher or lower? Are we going up to that 2% print in the 2019 calendar year? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take the other side on no.
Okay.
I think we're muddled. I don't know. I don't necessarily think we're going to see like 160 or 150, but I don't think we're going about north of 2 this calendar year.
So now, Patrick, I'll preface this. If you had talked to me about the 2-year or 5-year, I think that thing's pinned to 0, baby. Or not to 0, but to unchanged. I don't think they're going to be raising rates anytime soon, and I think that
you're going to have so much egg on your face on this one, Kev. Like you don't even know. This is
okay. Let's go on to the next thing then. Let's
let the market
you know decide on that one.
We talked. Listen, just that's enough. Equities. You want to do corporate bonds maybe, or do you want to just move on? Because the only thing that I want. Let's talk international equity. Let's talk some interesting charts. Let's what I thought was interesting. Let's start with the Canadian TSX. Now,
fake out or break out, Patrick.
I'm torn because if it was just if we were doing Canadian banks, and I would be with you on the sell. But if the stock now, you know what? No, I it's a fake out. I'm not bullish.
Oh God, you gooching my trade.
Sorry,
I'm a
buddy.
seller too. It's headed lower.
You know what?
Probably my. It's
let
my.
me
probably my
kind of
favorite short.
ungoocher it by saying it's just not going higher. All right, I just don't believe that this is about to break out and make a big surge higher.
I appreciate you taking that for the team.
I am going to take the one for the team here. I'm just going to say that I'm just not a buyer here.
Okay.
Let's
Do the
leave it at
Nikkei 225. Let's
yeah,
do
for
Japan.
sure. Let's do Japan. Now is that a breakout or is that a fake out? That's
buy,
a move,
baby,
buddy.
buy. Buy, baby, buy. Look at that. Look at that clean break.
It looks pretty fucking real. That's that. Like, you know what? I'm scared to be bullish with you because we're going to goocher it, but that looks like a breakout. And now, I mean, we could see 25,000 in short order.
You know what? For those who are just listening to this and can't look at the charts, you should pull up a chart of the Nikkei because we have. I don't know what it's called. It's like
it's a
squiggly all on its own.
It's an ascending triangle pattern consolidating at a key breakout, and then you have the breakaway gap. It looks pretty
there
clean.
We go. So there
It looks pretty clean.
It sounds pretty impressive when Patrick says it, but it looks like it's headed higher. That's all I know.
All right, but you know what? The Sensex, the Bombay stock market, my friend, that looks like that's a breakout, buddy. It's gonna go higher. This is your call. I'm gonna give you full kudos on this because you brought it to my attention that this was thing. But I think it's going higher. Did I gooch it for you?
No, let's just keep going. I like it.
You like it? Are you in?
I'm in.
Bullish?
Now here we go.
China.
I'm
Let's
bullish.
do the China A50.
I don't know. I wouldn't. That'd probably be the last one, the international stocks I'd buy, but I don't know about you.
All right. Breakout or fake out on the Euro Stock 50?
Holy shit! This is a lot of stuff headed higher.
Look at that. The consolidation break. Yet today was a breakout candle on so many of these. I can't think of a better day to play this game.
You know what the thing is, Patrick? These international indexes look way better than the American ones.
Yes, it does. Yep, I'll agree with that.
Right?
You know what? It's interesting. You wrote a piece about it, but I'll agree with you. Like you know what? And who's another one that was talking about that was again Jeffrey Gundlach was recently on a number of interviews talking about the fact that he thinks that the U.S. will underperform materially.
I think he reads my pieces. I think that's what he
does. Of course. Why wouldn't he read the macro tours?
For
pieces?
sure. Yeah. Why wouldn't he? And you know what? Although he is a little mad at us after having Jimmy Jude on.
But you know what?
For those who don't know, go listen to the Jimmy Jude episode. Jimmy Jude is
52 or 53, episode 53.
53. It's our anniversary, right? Because I was the one who thought that the 52nd was our anniversary. Figured it out.
Yeah, there you go.
That's not actually the anniversary.
But this looks like a real breakout on the Euro stock. I actually think this could be for reals.
For reals. You sound like my kid. Okay, let's go on. Next one.
How about Brazil? I mean, this thing's been running.
Holy shit. It helps when you're devaluing your currency.
Yes. Yes, when you're
nothing like making your stock market look bullish when you're that's right.
That's why you can be bullish on the Nikkei. You're going to lose that bet so bad, dude.
Oh, God.
You know, you're trying to be bullish on the Nikkei.
How about this? Let's do this next one then before you talking shit to me. This next one, I see it. It's the British.
Yes.
And look at that. In U.S. dollars, that thing's probably doing great because don't forget the pound's headed higher.
This stock market, the FTSE's been compressed by the currency strength for sure, right? But I personally think that the pound is run out of juice on the short term, which means the stock market could actually kick higher while the currency backs up a little bit. Now, I'm not bearish the currency, but I just think it's been kind of holding it back. So if the currency backfills, then we could see a break back to 75 to 7,700.
I like that index. I know it doesn't look great on a chart, but I love it. Okay, let's do EM.
Pull it up.
Emerging
Emerging markets. Wow.
Oh God, look at this thing. It's awesome
Wow.
looking. Yeah,
You a buyer?
I'm a buyer. Buying this just like all in. I'm all in, baby. This thing's headed higher.
You know what?
This is going to be the trade of 2020.
What? Long EM. EM.
Yep.
What?
It is so underowned. It's so hated.
What do you mean? A year ago, it was the single most overowned thing. Now it's the most underowned?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just think I can't tell you how much I like other equity markets apart from the U.S. These other things are so cheap.
But like, it doesn't bother
Listen,
you.
Patrick.
It doesn't
okay.
bother you that you're bullish all of these currencies and you're bullish their stock markets at the same time. You don't think that you're not conflicted by this in any way?
No, I'm not conflicted at all. Don't forget what the reserve currency of the world is. The reserve currency of the world is the U.S. dollar. The U.S. Federal Reserve has just told you that they're not going to go and do what they did last time, which is go out and try to get ahead of any sort of
And since when? What did Powell say back last December that they were going to keep with their taper, and then the next month he flip flops? So you can't trust.
He is
what
not
the
going
Fed
to
is gonna
listen.
say.
No, you're right. You can't trust them when they're talking tough, but when they're talking dovish, baby, you can trust them. Listen. Trump and Wall Street neutered. I'm talking neutered Powell. And he is not going to do the same. He came out trying to show how tough he was, how he was going to get ahead of this, how he's going to stop the bubble. That is gone. No. They are coming up with excuse after excuse as to why they are not going to raise rates in the next economic upturn.
All right,
let's
so
face it. They're already talking about letting that run hot because we're undershooting 2%. Okay, they're talking about all the extra unemployed that are underemployed or whatever. Right. They're setting you up time and time again for the fact that they're about to go and let this thing run wild, man. They're going to let it go. And so in that environment, yes, maybe U.S. stocks will go higher, but the other stuff will go even higher. And I think emerging markets is what you want to own in that kind of scenario.
Well, you know what? While I'm not outright bearish the EM space, I am not remotely as optimistic as you are. I would be far more inclined to say it's going to be a muddle than as bullish optimism as you are. But you know what? This is going to make it fun. We're going to watch this.
Nothing makes me happier than hearing you're on the other side of my trade, Patrick.
All right, brother. Let's move on to Tales from the Trading Desk.
Right. So we were trying to think of something to talk about, and I kind of came up with this. You reminded me of a period in my life when we had a program that was called the Interlisted Arbitrage Machine. And what we had done was we had written the kind of HFT, but more of an arbitrage program that had gone and when stocks got out of line between the Toronto and U.S. stock markets, we would automatically buy one, sell the other, and then hedge the currency.
Right.
Now, when I first came up with this idea, I started writing it, and my boss came to me and says, "Why are you writing this? What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm writing this program to automatically arb between these two things." And he says, "Why are you doing that? I have 13 guys that are doing that already." And I said, "Well, you have 13 guys. This machine's going to do it better." And sure enough, it did do it better. But this tale from the trading desk, is about a specific time when we got picked off. So I can't remember the exact time. It might have been 99. We're going along, and all of a sudden, there was one stock that started trading a lot. We didn't think a lot out of it. We started making some money, and we saw the ARB going through. And, but a lot of times the stock would get hot, and there'd be no reason for it. It would just all of a sudden be an American would come for the American account, would come for the stock and not realize that it was interlisted, so it would be an opportunity. Well, this stock got hot, but then we had the trader from the main desk. So we were on the derivative desk, but there was the main desk would talk to clients. And this trader from the main desk came over to me and he said, "Kev, I just did this trade with this hedge fund, and I'm making all sorts of money, and I was wondering if you want to do any." And I thought to myself, okay, this trade from the hedge fund this hedge fund trader has phoned you up wanting to do a trade, and you think you're making all sorts of money. And I said, that's not the way it works. We're talking to hedge funds, right? So instantly my antenna went up, and I went and figured it out. I went and started looking, and I said, no, I don't want to do your trade. But I went and looked at the trade, and what it was Magna. Magna is the kind of a auto parts maker, and they had gone, and the old man had bought some, I don't know, like some racetracks or some shit that he really shouldn't have put into the company. And what they decided to do was spin it out and spin it out into something called Magna Entertainment. Okay, because
Right.
every auto
I
parts
remember
maker
that, yeah.
every auto parts maker should have like a racetrack division. Anyways, so they had spun this thing out, and so what had happened in Canada was trading without the spin out in it. It had gone basically ex-div the spin out. But in America, in the States, on the New York Stock Exchange, they have something called due bills. And so they started trading this thing because I guess what had happened is it had gone X, but it wasn't payable for a month. So there was a month that it traded with the thing called, it was traded with the due bill attached. So you could buy it on the New York Stock Exchange and still receive the Magna Entertainment. But on the Toronto Stock Exchange, it was trading without the Magna Entertainment. Now, this ended up being a big portion of the stock. I can't remember what it was. Like, let's say Magna was trading at $100. Like, the spin out was worth $10. Right. So this guy, this hedge fund, was phoning up dealers and basically asking for offerings of 50 or 100,000, taking that, and then which way was he going? So he was buying it in the States, and then hitting bids in the Canada. So he's actually asking for bids because he was selling it without the Magna Entertainment in it. And then he was pocketing the difference between, he was basically stuffing the Magna Entertainment in his jeans because he was still going to receive that in the U.S. So I instantly figured out, and I stopped the machine. I was like, oh, God. And I instantly figured out that we were offside a lot of money, and we've been doing this for a day or two. And that we better, turn off the machine. Not only that, there was an opportunity because the market hadn't quite figured it out. So I could basically unwind the trades that I had put on thinking I was going to make money. I could quickly try to do it from other market participants that didn't realize it. Anyways, long and short of it is I quickly turned the machines around, went backwards, and started going the other way. Unfortunately, yeah. So unfortunately, now we lost a lot of money. Like I can't remember what the number was. It was many hundreds of thousands of dollars. But compared to the losses that we could have had we run that for days, because this thing went on for a month with trading with the due bill, then we would have lost a fortune.
Right.
And I remember the trader coming up to me and saying, you know what, it was actually not the proprietary trader that had gotten run over. It was the guy, the account coverage trader. He said, I'm so sorry. I hope you didn't get hurt too much with my client trying to pick you off. And I said, are you kidding? That was the greatest thing that had ever happened. Because if he had just done it in the machine and not tried to do blocks upstairs, I wouldn't have figured it out as quickly. And him going and doing the blocks in the machine was the blocks upstairs was the greatest thing ever because it enabled me to understand that I was wrong. So the lesson of this is when you're trading with a hedge fund and you think you're making money, you're not.
No, hey, that's we should have that as wisdom as well as tales. But that's
right.
no, that's a great tale, buddy. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So let's move on. So
it's time for the This Week in History. And,
that's right.
Patrick, this is your favorite point. And now I'm just going to go drink some beer while I get you going. I'm going to start you off. What do you have what do you have for us this week, Patrick?
We're going back almost 200 years, buddy. December 14th of 1825. Right? So it's called the Panic of 1825. And so a little bit of context. So this is back in England. And so a little bit of context to kind of build a narrative, right? So in the prior 3 centuries prior to this was the domination of the Spanish in South America. And well, actually, I don't want to get in too much detail because I actually want to talk about that in next year. There's a couple of history things that I want to circle back to what the Spanish out there in South America. But that ended. And at the same time, a decade earlier before this was Napoleon's defeat in Waterloo. Right, and so you have a scenario where in 1815 was Waterloo, Napoleon and the French were messing everything up, and then obviously the English win the battle, and then across Europe and America was the post-Napoleonic Depression over the next 5 years, between like 1815 to 1820 type of window. And so there was, even in England, there was like the 1815 Corn Law, which prohibited the importing of corn. There was all sorts of problems in the Depression then in on the farming side of it. But then came this big window of opportunity because of the void that happened in South America from the Spanish no longer dominating there for centuries, suddenly became an opportunity for entrepreneurs to go and take advantage of the commodity markets in South America. And so this led to at the time was the world's largest speculative commodity bubble, and one of its pops. And it was really interesting because the Bank of England had even recklessly extended credit for speculations in commodities, bonds, and it all came unraveled on December 14th of 1825 that marked the top. It started with a major bank failure in London of a bank, Pole & Co., which would fail, causing and bringing down 40 other commercial banks. And in that panic of 1825, it ultimately led to an 80% drop in the stock markets in the coming year that had control, troops coming in to control riots at the Bank of England as it all almost unraveled. So what I wanted to kind of talk about is some of the interesting things that happened during this period. So it was commodity driven, and so a lot of this involved mining companies. And so, like, for instance, the Anglo-Mexican mining shares rose from like 10 pounds to 150 pounds in just 1 month during that prior bubble. But there was one company I want to focus on. It's the shares of Real del Monte. It's a Mexican silver miner that during the bubble rise, here, let me just switch the slide so here to show, the thing went from 70 pounds to reaching a peak of like 1,500 pounds. Just an astronomical rise. And so just a little history of this mining company and the city itself. It's like up in the mountains in Real del Monte. It's this little town in Mexico. And it still, even to this day, if you go there, it has a very English feel. They call it the little slice of Cornwall in the region. And the silver mines surrounding the city were for 300 years prior pumping Spain with a huge amount of silver. That was what actually they built their empire. And when the Mexican rule ended, it created an opportunity. The conditions of these mines deteriorated, and these English investors came in there to try to revive these flooded mines and do all of this. And they obviously took these companies public and raised money to do this. So they recruited like 130 miners and engineers from Cornwall, England, to go over there and to do this. Half of them died along the way from like some yellow fever or some kind of crazy disease, they were out there, and all these investors came in and they got all excited because obviously they had a chance to be a part of these mines that were producing silver for the Spanish for hundreds of years, and here these speculators were able to get a piece of the action, right?
Right.
And so yeah, so many people bought this stuff on heavy margin, and Bank of England as because what it defines a central bank today was not so clear back then. Like the bank itself actually took part in a lot of normal banking activity, and not just acting as a central bank of commercial banks, the way it sort of is today. And anyway, this you can see this chart. The stock just got pummeled from 1,500 all the way down to like 50 in the years that followed. And just it looks like the chart of Bitcoin, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It's very reminiscent.
Throw the cheap shot in there, but ultimately the whole stock market in England imploded during that time. And what's interesting, there was a point where the Bank of England would come within 2 days' supply of running out of gold reserves. Something like less than £1 million short, of literally running out. But a Christmas miracle happened.
A Christmas miracle.
A Christmas miracle. A savior in 1825 on Christmas Eve, in 1825, at the risk of failure of the Bank of England would come to an end when Nathan Rothschild deposited 300,000 gold coins into the Bank of England and has owned the Bank of England since.
With his wee bitty eyes?
With his wee bitty the Colonel. But I don't want to talk too much Rothschild, because I actually have a couple good stories coming up in the weeks and months ahead about the Rothschilds. But it was a deposit of 300,000 gold coins by Nathan Rothschild into the Bank of England that actually kept the Bank of England from failing. And even though the economic crisis would last for many more years afterwards, the bank failure part ended at that moment. And one of the big speculative bubbles, commodity bubbles, and big runs happened back then. And it's not to be mixed up, because obviously there was the East India Company. There was we're going to get to the Mississippi bubble, all sorts of these other ones in future episodes. But this was right after the Napoleonic Wars, and it was a big commodity bubble.
Well, that's a great story.
Right?
I like it. And it reminds me, you said the Christmas miracle, it reminds me of last Christmas with Mnuchin and Trump. We've had our own Christmas miracles. It's funny how that things happen.
It just reoccurs.
Yeah.
These Christmas miracles all over the place. Anyway, Kev, time to move on to the WTF clip of the week. What do you got in store for us, bud?
Well, you know, I wrote a post about Paul Krugman, and some people came to his defense, and I thought to myself, and they were saying, why are you picking on poor old Paul? Because you know me, I love that meme with him on Gilligan's Island where he burns down everything, and he asks Gilligan, says, why did you do that? And Paul says, so you can rebuild it. And I just love that meme, and people were like giving me a hard time, and I said, well, I found Paul, his lack of acknowledging that the broken window fallacy kind of bothers me about him, and that's one of my big pushbacks. And so I went and found the video. I was trying to basically defend my cheap shot that I took for good old Paul, and I found the video that you've talked about and you've reminded me numerous times.
But I wanted you to jam it with the attack from Mars video, but you went with another route.
Yeah, but then the real thing was, while I was looking up for this video, I was trying to find Paul Krugman event things, and I realized that Paul Krugman appeared in a movie. So, you know, I could take all the cheap shots that I want. He actually appeared in a really cool movie.
All right.
And you know which one?
Tell me.
Get Him to the Greek, which is one of the, you know, I was watching it and I was like making this video, and it's actually one of the greatest, funniest movies around. And I think I picked my favorite scene from it. It's the Jeffrey scene. And for those who will remember, they'll instantly kind of smile. But without further ado, here's Paul Krugman getting him to the Greek.
But even if you were, wouldn't John Maynard Keynes say that if you could employ people to dig a ditch and then fill it up again, that's fine. They're being productively employed. They pay taxes. So maybe Boston's big dig was just fine after all.
Think about World War II, right? That was actually negative social product spending, and yet it brought us out. I mean, partly because you want to put these things together. If we say, look, we could use some inflation. Ken and I are both saying that, which is, of course, anathema to a lot of people in Washington, but is in fact what the basic logic says. It's very hard to get inflation in a depressed economy.
Are you Paul Krugman?
Yeah.
My dad loves your shit.
Oh, thank you. But if you had a program of government spending plus an expansionary policy by the Fed, you could get that. So if you think about using all of these things together, you could accomplish, a great deal. I mean, if we discovered that space aliens were planning to attack, and we needed a massive buildup to counter the space alien threat.
Here you go, mate. That'll take the edge off. Yeah, I'll give him that. Make yourself useful. Here you go. All right. What is this? It's called a Jeffrey, Aaron. Bit of this, bit of that.
And really, inflation and budget deficits took secondary place to that. This slump would be over in 18 months.
Hey, what's in this? My heart's starting to beat really fast.
It's, weed, mostly. Sergio gave it to me. It's got a bit of opium in it.
Some heroin, crunched up E's, Clorox, methadone, Subutex, morphine, peyote, some other stuff that's unidentifiable, and I think a little bit of angel dust, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
You know, bit glue.
Keep it traditional.
Yeah.
It's like a drug Neapolitan.
And then if we discovered, whoops, we made a mistake. There aren't actually any space
So we need
aliens.
Orson
We'd be a
Welles,
better,
is what you're saying.
No, there was a Twilight Zone episode like this in which scientists fake an alien threat in order to achieve world peace. Well, this time we don't need it. We need it in order to get some fiscal stimulus.
Why the fuck is it called a Jeffrey?
Because who could be scared of a Jeffrey?
Yeah, Jeffrey's just this nice bloke from down the road, isn't he?
What's wrong with you?
Hello, I'm Jeffrey. I've just moved in. Yes, I'm Jeffrey. Jeffrey. My wife has got varicose veins.
I'm having a heart attack. I'm having a heart attack.
You're not having an heart attack, Aaron.
I think he might be having a heart attack.
He's not. He's just breathe deeply.
Okay.
Okay.
Ah, that won't last, no. That's the joy of the Jeffrey, you see. It goes away, but then it comes back. Ah!
Danny, it doesn't do that. It's gonna be okay. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. Here, put your hand here. Just touch the furry wall. Stay with me. Be calm. Be calm. Just stroke the furry wall. With the furry wall. With the furry wall now. My mum.
Y'all need to take a hit of this Jeffrey. It'll calm you down.
Hey, shouldn't somebody stop this?
Feel how good this feels? I'm gonna cover the whole outside of my house in this material. Come back here. My house is gonna look like a fucking werewolf.
Keep stroking the wall! Keep stroking the wall!
That's
No one
Jeffrey's
engages
done.
my... Oh! Ah! Somebody help me, please!
This is so rock star.
I'm having a heart attack! Somebody take me to the hospital! It's on North Casino Way! Ah!
Calm down.
I'm having a heart attack!
You're not having a heart attack, are you? Oh, Jesus. Why can't everything be this simple?
Stroke the furry wall. Stroke the furry wall. I had to take. Is that P Diddy? I'm not very good at the rappers. I think it's P Diddy. Is it P Diddy? Oh, you're terrible too. You don't. Know
I'm
anything.
terrible,
You probably haven't even watched it. I think it's P Diddy. Actually, Lena, get on.
Do you know who that was?
I think it's P. Diddy.
Yeah, we got to look
I
this
actually
up.
don't know either.
It's not Kanye
Get
West,
him,
is it?
Get him to the Greek. Let's just see.
No.
I think that's P Diddy. Let's just check before I go and make a fool of myself and say something about who's in this. They all, like the rappers I have trouble with because they.
Because you're old. That's why.
I'm
Because yeah,
old
you're
and
old.
I don't really like the music, so I kind of. Oh my God, Pink's in this too. I can't even find. Like I'm looking through this. Billy Bush is in this. God, there's a lot of crazy people in this. Russell Brown, anyways, I don't know. Anyways, whoever it was, let's assume it's Pete.
Lena, jump on afterwards and tell us in the
who it
after
is.
hours who
I'm
it
looking
was.
for it right now.
Okay, so Pete
have a
when
look
he
while
says, when he's saying like I'm gonna take my whole house and I'm gonna cover my house in this, like I was laughing so hard, and then the next line that he has, I had to pull, but it's pretty funny. Go watch the whole thing on your own if you want a good laugh. Anyways, so
Okay. That was good. You know what?
Yeah.
You never go full Krugman.
Yeah, Patrick, you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say that, Patrick.
All right.
Patrick, you're the
All right.
worst.
All right.
You-
Let's move on.
you
Let's
and
move on. We're not
Zach.
going to say anything else. All right. Here we
Okay,
go.
leave it. Okay.
All right. We're leaving it. Here we go.
Top 5 things to watch next week. Did we do one last week? I don't think we did.
Yes,
right?
we did. Yes, we
Oh, we
did.
did.
So
Okay,
we're
sorry.
going to review them. We're going to review them. So first of all, it was that the start of the parabolic blow-off of Apple. And so let's just have a quick look. And Apple is definitely continuing this parabolic rise. And it looks like it's actually accelerating. So it is potentially still going to be the blow-off. Now, the key thing is, I love that. Is it Jim Rogers that you always quote in terms of these bubble rises?
Jim Rogers was when he talked about gold in the 80s, or like the early 80s when it topped. He said, I was 2 days early selling gold. I missed the top by 2 days. Unfortunately, it was like $250, like because oftentimes
the biggest part of
last
the move always
is-
happens at the end, right? And this is the whole thing with what's happening with Apple is it's going full parabolic. I love just showing the slope of trend lines to kind of show how it's steepening during the rise. And usually what happens during a steepening is that it goes to the final parabolic phases. And that's where it...
When the line goes 90 degrees?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, that's what happens, right? Like what happens is that it reaches a point where the slope just keeps going and it goes to the parabolic blow off, right?
Nice.
And it's
Actually,
quite
that's a good
possible.
Patrick, you know me. I'm always giving you a hard time about the dark magic you practice, but that's actually an interesting chart. I give kudos to you, buddy. That's a really good kind of exercise to see. There.
Right? Like there is a chance that Apple will clear 300 in days and then blow off. And then it's just going to be down from there. And the problem is that everyone's like gets excited. Oh, you mean Apple can go up? But it's like if you don't sell at the exact top at the right time, 1 or 2 days later, you're going to be already underwater. Like it is not for the faint of heart to be trading the blow off phase. There's only so many suckers that will give you that price up at the top, right? And you have to be, and you're trying to race everyone else to get that high print. It's a dangerous game trying to catch the top here. But
so I'm going to actually, we mentioned Zach Abraham from KYRR Radio, who we've had on before. Him and you are the politically incorrect ones. The one he got in trouble with his wife. His wife actually listened to him when he came on. Usually he does his radio show.
I don't blame her.
And she
He had a
listened to
potty
him and
mouth.
give him shit. But anyways, he had a great tweet about this, and I'm going to just read it out here because we're talking Apple. He says, Apple's now trading at a 22 PE ratio, richest valuation in the past decade. Meanwhile, revenue growth is now contracting. Their market share in phones has essentially been cut in half, and the most innovative product they've launched in 5 years is headphones. I agree with him. You know what? I'm a seller. I think there's better stock selling than
that if Apple was in this parabolic rise to blow off $400 on the top end, that it would surpass Saudi Aramco and the $2 trillion cap and become the largest cap company in the world. And so it's, to be honest, like $100 on the upside, everyone's like, oh, I can't do that. Dude, it did $100 in just 2 months, 3 months since like September.
Yep,
right?
Like I think, though, your point there about how this is entering the point, a period where it's actually going to get scarier and more risky is the best thing to take away from this.
Yeah.
It's a trader's stock, and it's going to get even crazier.
You know what I love?
Dude,
know what I love? The implied vols are nice and low, so you can keep playing the bubble peak with rolling calls on the upside with nice low vol premiums, and then you have a limited risk. You're not stuck holding the bag with the equity, right?
There you go. That's probably the smartest thing you've said in ages, Patrick. Number 4, Canadian economy.
No, let's skip that because we're going to also talk some Canadian numbers. So we'll review that.
Yeah, we'll leave that one.
Further.
Number 3, market correction over before it started. Sure looks like that way, doesn't it?
Yep. Yeah, that was a quick 100-point drop, and then boom, off to the races.
Yeah,
UK election. Well, we know what happened there.
Just like
Boris.
Boris has nailed it, and so far there's been no real selling. I continue to think it's going higher.
So I never had a chance to talk to you about number 1. How do you feel these two press conferences and FOMC meeting and ECB meetings went? Like, what is your takeaway?
So number 1, let's start with Powell. I think out of the first 12 or 13 FOMC conferences that Powell did, he managed to get the stock market lower on 11 of them. It was some crazy number like that. And whereas previously the press conferences were all higher, and it was because he was busy trying to, let's just say, take some air out of the financial market bubble. And we're now at a point where he's completely given up that. As I told you, he's been neutered by both Trump and the market and by Wall Street, and he is no longer doing that. And now he's busy trying to do everything he can to stay out of the headlines. And I think that's if you wanted something to, how do you trade Powell? Ask yourself, what will keep him out of the headlines? That's the policy he's going to do.
Right.
And I think if you go with that philosophy, you're going to find yourself doing very well. And I think he's finally figured it out. He's figured out how to say nothing without getting himself into any trouble. So the FOMCs have now become boring affairs. As for Lagarde, she, it was the first time she did pretty well, actually. She managed to do it without a big whoopsie, and I still think that they're going to figure out a way to do more fiscal. I think the writing's on the wall, and she's done nothing to dispel me of that notion. And in fact, there's a few things at the margin that encourage me that the fiscal is on its way.
All right. So in terms of the FOMC, you know what? I don't know if I feel the same way as you. I feel that right now is a period where the market basically didn't price in a cut. It gave Powell a moment to be able to just lay low, and as long as he didn't say anything, then he could kind of just punt this one away. But I'll tell you, I feel that at some point we're going to start seeing the market start pricing in and trying to force his hand again. And I think that this little lull that you're talking about, I think it's not going to be there in a couple meetings. Maybe the next one in January, whatever it is, might still be more of the same. But I think at some point the market's going to start forcing his hand, and he's going to start putting his foot in his mouth. But it might take it deep into the first quarter for that to happen. We'll see.
I think he's going to be really late, Patrick. I think that they've scared him. Anyways, that's what makes a market.
Yeah, that's what makes a market. Okay, so top five things to watch next week. So the first thing you were going to talk about European PMIs. What's your feeling here?
Well, I'm not sure they matter. I've been saying this for a while.
Top five things to watch is the number 5, the one that doesn't really matter.
No, but I think maybe you're right. They matter a little, but my point is that I would be more interested in whether they're going to do the fiscal or not than if the PMIs come out better.
Yeah.
But the market seems to get excited about them. So although we're putting it in there because it will probably cause a market reaction, I guess if you ask me, whether it's going to outperform or underperform, I think the surprises out of Europe are going to be on the positive, not on the negative going forward. So I'm an up better.
You know what? I actually agree with you. I'm not as you know what though? Okay, but I'm not as you're a bull as you are. But I think that the numbers were so bad for so long. It's really hard for them to stay that bad for sustained basis. I think that there's room for them to kind of mean revert a bit. And so while I'm not very bullish on them, I also think that that period of really, really ugly numbers is going to backfill a little bit and to gravitate back towards the midpoint.
Okay, so, number 4.
Number 4. So listen, Canadian numbers were shit. And here we got Canadian retail sales coming up and Canadian inflation numbers coming up. How do you feel about Canada? Did it change from last week, or are you just going to shit on Canada all over again?
I'm going to continue shitting on Canada. We are going to be the weakest economy in the developed world.
Okay.
It's going to, so you're asking me any number, we're going to underperform expectations, especially relative to expectations.
So you think inflation, though, runs low?
Yeah.
Okay.
Our dollar hasn't really gone down yet. It's not like we don't really, there's not a lot of pressure. Anyways, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about inflation. I don't really care. But retail sales, we're going to continue to disappoint. That's my 2 cents.
All right, Kev, number 3, consumer discretionaries. Are they going to join in this party? So I wanted to start off first, just go to Koifin's website. Obviously, we had Rob come on to the Huddle back 10, 15 episodes ago. Great website for those that don't have a Bloomberg. If you're just looking for a great resource that has everything on one site, definitely the one to go with. So,
and for those who don't know, Koyfin is spelled KOYFIN.com.
Right. Koyfin.com, a great website. So anyway, we're looking at the composition of the consumer discretionary basket, and the number one elephant in the room, the big kahuna, is Amazon with a 22% weighting into this index, right? And so as goes Amazon, goes this index. But when you go down the list, Home Depot's been dogging it. McDonald's been an awful dog. Starbucks has been an awful dog. So this entire consumer discretionary space just has not been able to get any momentum. So when we pull up the chart on the XLY as the symbol in the ETF, you can see that while the stock market's been rocking and rolling, the consumer discretionaries have more or less not been able to make a high since they put in that short-term high in July and are not much above their April highs. It's really just been a big muddle. And, whether you want to call this a quadruple or a quintuple top or whatever you want, like it's been bouncing along those highs for a while. But if the S&P 500 is going higher, I'm almost feeling like this at some point has to break out and actually validate a bigger advance. And I wanted to, one of the things I'm watching into the next week and into the end of the year, do the discretionaries break out? We were playing the breakout or fake out. What's your call here, Kev?
Well, one of the things that I noticed is that isn't this a triangle? I don't know.
Yeah, it's ascending triangle.
An ascending triangle. Because if you look at it, it's like there's definitely resistance at that level, but there's every single dip
every high's been a higher high, but every low's been a higher low, but the highs have been basically testing, and that's like the same as no such thing as a triple bottom. You just do the reciprocal, right? Like it's this idea that the ascending triangle kind of keeps bouncing its head along the top until it breaks and then just blasts off.
Right, and if you had to bet, you probably have to bet that it's going to,
But look at this Amazon
higher.
chart. That's got to go. Amazon's 22% of this. Look at this chart. Tell me you're bullish Amazon.
I'm not.
That's the problem. But that's the problem, dude. The thing is that how can that consumer discretionary, even look at a McDonald's, which is a major component. Like, look at this chart. I mean, these things just have not started to move at all. There's no pulse. Maybe they will. But you know what? The thing is that the broader ETF looks more bullish than the individual components. Right. And this is something that's like a little bit of a flag for me. But I'll tell you, the consumer discretionary space, if the S&P is going to 3,300, not the biggest fan of it happening, but if it happens, it happens. I mean, the trend is very bullish looking right now. But if we're going higher, the discretionaries are likely to break out. But can they? And that's the big question. I'm watching.
Well, that's why it's a top 5 thing to watch.
It's number 3. It's watching. So number 2. We got to talk Boeing, right? Like, what was it? The story? I'm gonna just wing it here because I don't want to paraphrase it properly. But wasn't there something like China was just considering not buying any more of these new planes from Boeing? Like there was some sort of crazy headline.
They're all that sort of stuff, and then the market's trying to figure out when they're going to get back, how long it's going to take. It's a gong show, basically.
But you know what? I'm going to put this on a weekly chart because you want to see that head and shoulders, and it definitely has all of the head and shoulders.
So I don't practice the dark art. I'm not 14 years old. But
so you have to be 14 to practice the dark art?
Whatever it is. No, I'm just kidding. There's old magicians that are older too. Anyways, but I saw that and I don't have a clue what I'm doing with technical analysis, and even I could see that was a potential head and shoulders.
You know what's crazy about it is that Boeing still today, in this entire consolidation over the last 3, 4, 5 months, is still trading at a higher price than it traded back in like December and November before any planes crashed.
Oh, that is interesting.
Right? So like it's still trading at a higher price than where it was trading before any planes hit the ground.
Yeah.
And so here we have this problem, all this production, and it's actually still at $340 today at a higher price than it traded when it was back in the November-December bottoms. Now, November-December was an index event, like obviously 20% down on the whole market. Boeing's a big component of the Dow. It was dragged down with the whole market, but still. You would think that after all of the drama that's been happening with this company, that it should be lower than where it was trading before the planes even hit.
Well, Patrick, you shouldn't be mixing fundamentals there because on the technical basis, you've nailed it. You've said it's going to drift lower, which is done. Now the real question is, does it break out and does this Head and Shoulders resolve itself with a move lower? What do you say?
I think so. I think Boeing is going to be under 300.
There you
I'm
go.
making the call right here.
Okay.
I think.
Watch.
You know what? Like if they give me a chance to short Boeing again at 360, I'll be all over it. If any pop, I'm selling. I'm a seller on Boeing. You know what? Whether the stock market goes higher is irrelevant. Boeing is a sell for me. What's your call?
I don't want to gooch your trade. Let's go on to number one.
Quadruple witching coming up next Friday on the 20th.
Yeah.
So let's give our listeners that don't know what that means a quick summary.
It's when originally it was triple witching, and it was futures, options, and options on futures. And actually, I don't know what the fourth is.
It's the stock futures. Futures on individual stock names.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. Yeah. They added a witch in there. And anyways, they all expire on Friday. Oftentimes, we'll go back to Scott, the volatility whiz. He talks about that as the actual turning point in the market. So maybe, I've been kind of bearish. Maybe I'm too early. Maybe it's going to be Friday it'll top. Yeah, I still think that there's a chance we top today and that this will prove to be the...
And listen, we've had episodes where we've talked gamma. And the gamma flip and all the exposures. And the only observation to make without making a market call on it is that gammas are increasing into the expiration. And and while, yes, there are a lot of weeklies, and especially on the SPYs, they're spread out over numerous weekly expirations and not just to the monthly. But a lot of individual stock names still are predominantly focused into the monthly expiration. And so when you're going into the individual names, that gamma starts to really build up and create more volatility. I mean, a low and or a major overhead resistance on a lot of on these things. Do you agree with that, or?
Well, Patrick, you're talking all sorts of technical stuff. And then, since you practice the dark arts, I thought you'd be more interested in the fact that today is it's Friday, December 13th. And it's
you wrote a blog about this.
And I didn't write a blog. I made a tweet. It was also the last full moon of the decade yesterday, Patrick.
Wouldn't it be something?
Wouldn't it be something if that was the top?
If that was the top.
And then all the Moonies. Actually, I saw someone responded to me and talked about those who study chart patterns based upon the moon. So we have the dark arts, and then we have the Moonies. And the Moonies, if they nail this, hats off to them, man. Like that'll be awesome. I'm rooting for the Moonies. Wouldn't it be awesome if we could have all those Moonies got to point to this? We called it. It was the full moon on Friday the 13th. It all aligned. That's what I'm going for. Me and the Moonies.
There you go. Anyway, one way or another, volatility, gamma, all sorts of stuff. Strap on your seatbelt. All sorts of cool shit happens next week. Anyway, it's definitely what we're going to be watching as we go. All right, Kev, time for some parting words of wisdom. I dug this one up, but I think you're going to have lots of opinion on this. But a risk comes from not knowing what you're doing.
I love that cherry Coke loving octogenarian.
Yes, you do. That's Warren
He's
Buffett.
got some good lines. He's got some good lines.
You know what?
I'm not a big fan of his trading because he ends up what he says and what he does is two different things, and I'm not a huge fan. I actually like him better when he ran a hedge fund. His original fund was much more hedge fund. He did like risk arb and stuff.
Right.
And it was only once he got too big that he had to just own the market and buy stocks and hold them forever and stuff. And I still think he's going to get carried out on Apple because I think that a lot of this Apple rise is him.
But do you think that I guess he won't sell into the strength, will he?
No. Are you kidding? He's creating this strength, buddy. I think
he's not gonna pull a Jesse Livermore and sell on the way down.
No,
pump
that's
it
not
up
what
and
he's
sell
doing.
on the way down.
That's not what he's doing. He owns that for a long haul. Anyway, it's still some good advice from Warren Buffett. Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing.
And that's why you have to educate yourself and kudos to our listeners, because if you lasted an hour and change into this webinar into this podcast, then that means you're taking the time to educate yourself. No, maybe you're choosing the wrong people to listen to.
Yeah.
But you know what? This is because people listen to these things because they're trying to gain some knowledge, and it's about getting some sort of an edge. And kudos to people that take the time to do that. All right. Yeah.
This is the point where our main show ends. But for those who want to stick around, don't forget that there'll be the after hours section, and then
we're going to review our bets.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're gonna do that. So stick around. Just a reminder that the Market Huddle is available on iTunes, Android Play, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you taking the time to join us, and look forward to speaking again next week. I'm Kevin Muir,
and I'm Patrick Ceresna. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Lena,
all right, I'm going to the bathroom. Hold on.
Just. Gotta leave that in. How are things with you?
Oh, so almost Christmas, so
nice.
This week I spent all week trying to get everybody on the list,
Get everyone on the list. The naughty list?
No. Like we're doing like a Secret Santa thing.
Oh, that's fun.
A few kids that we need to get presents for.
Yeah. How you guys enjoying living in the sticks?
I like it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, I like living in the
I
city.
don't mind. Like, I lived downtown for so long before.
Yeah.
And I couldn't, like, handle the sirens, the every weekend woohoo girls outside.
What are woohoo girls?
Those are, like, like the drunk girls that are having fun, like, woo! I call them woohoo girls.
Okay, you gotta leave that in. The woohoo girl. I couldn't take the woohoo girls.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. Why? Where did you guys live that you had lots of woo-woo girls?
Well, we lived in Liberty, right?
Oh, okay.
Before that, I lived by like Richmond and Simcoe.
Oh, that's woohoo girl
like,
central.
That's like that. Yeah, that's like woohoo girl central.
For sure. That's woohoo girls. I can't even say
it's
it.
It's either woohoo girls or crackhead theater.
What's crackhead theater?
It's like when, I don't know, some junkies get into a fight over something, or they're yelling at somebody or something.
You know what you got to come up with? You got to come up with the male equivalent of woohoo girls. Something bro.
Yeah, probably something bro.
I have this younger cousin that's, I don't know. Anyways, I have a relative, and she works at a big money manager firm, and she says that the finance bros, she talks about the finance bros, and they all wear Patagonia vests, and she says and she's like, you can tell she's just so sick of the finance bros. She's just like, oh.
Why, are they like weekend warriors sort of?
Oh, you don't know what finance bros are?
No.
Oh, like, let me just see finance bro. Let me Google it, see what happens when we come up that.
It's like a hipster version of the finance.
Yeah, like go Finance Bros starter pack, and you'll see like what they wear. And they wear like that vest is.
Oh my god!
Yeah. And you know what's funny, Lena? I was in New York City, and I walked from downtown to the financial section, and everyone thinks the finance section's on Wall Street, or at least I did. But it's actually uptown. So all of a sudden, I'm walking along, and I just out of nowhere, everyone's wearing these vests, and I'm like, and they'll wear them over suits. That's the part. That's just the funniest.
Really? Why would they even wear?
Oh, I don't know. They think that's just the way it is. I'm sure if we were there, we would be doing it.
Patagonia.
Yeah, Patagonia vest over suit. Just put it in there and have a look.
That's almost as bad as, actually, maybe it's even worse than socks and sandals.
You think?
Yeah, you're wearing something nice. It's like you're wearing nice. Like, do you see those power women downtown that are like in a full like 3-piece power suit but wearing like sneakers or running shoes to go to work or whatever.
Yeah, but that's
shoes,
practical.
Shoes make the outfit. But
yeah,
like,
but that's practical. These people are doing this. I think there's a whole. Oh yeah, here it is. There's the Instagram account.
All right.
One second, we're gonna keep going, Patrick. We're just gonna keep all this in because this is too good. Okay, let's just have a look. Oh, here it is. Midtown Uniform, Lena. Just go Midtown Uniform. It's an Instagram account, and these guys, all they do is show finance bros with their outfits. Lena thinks this is hilarious.
Yeah, why not?
It's in New York. They just love it. My favorite part is Patagonia. At one point, someone wanted to asked if they could sponsor it or something, and Patagonia sent this message. Was basically like, "Screw off. We don't want you doing this." Patagonia to Wall Street. Let me just see, because they said something like it wasn't consistent with their image or something. It was hilarious.
it's too bad because I feel like that's where a majority of the business is coming from.
Yeah, like the guy on Silicon Valley, he actually wears it as well. The geeky guy. Anyways, let's talk some beers. Let's Lena, figure out a way to keep all this in because
No. The beers we rate at the end. Let's go to.
You got to do your bets.
We got to talk bets first.
Okay, let's do our bets then. Patrick, go ahead, bud. You
all
take
right.
it away.
No, listen. What I eliminated some of the ones that we already had to settle because there's no point.
You mean the ones you lost?
Oh my God, Lena, that's so not nice.
I like it. Lena's on my side.
I actually won a few of them. Thank you very much.
He did actually. He did.
And
he
so, but I did have to buy Kev a burger, and it was good.
Hey Patrick, you know what? I was thinking about our CPI bet. Is that one of the first ones? Why don't you when we get there, let's talk about it. Let's go ahead. So these are the ones outstanding.
Yeah, these are ones that we still need. So anyway, this was over a year ago. We did the 18 months post midterm election. It's just obviously the entire third year of the presidential cycle stuff. And you were right.
Yeah, because this markets will be up in the 18 months post midterm elections. You were basically, we'll say,
I was basically that there was going to be a downturn before 2020, and I was spectacularly wrong. And you know what? The dollar is coming. It hasn't officially hit the date, but I think the dollar is coming for you. In terms of that. So the next bet we had to keep score on here was obviously Treasury bonds versus home builders. And we were at one point very close to being even on this one. But this is now separated a little bit. The TLT's been pulling back. Home builders have been holding up. And it looks like Christmas dinner's on me, and so we booked it at the High Steakhouse here in Toronto.
I know, it's actually great. Patrick was very kind. He asked
and I
Lena, just so you know, Lena is coming too, and I said, he was going to choose. What was our choice?
Oh yeah, whatever. It was like Barty's or Keg.
And I said Barty's
whatever.
is like where you and I'll go, but the ladies will prefer a High, so we're doing the High.
Yeah, and of course,
the ladies and Luke too.
You're not going to spare. You're not going to spare any mercy. You're going right after the most expensive steak on the menu, aren't you?
No, I'm not going to do that. I think Lena is actually tougher than Luke.
You do realize I'm going to do that to you when you lose a steak bet, right?
You're going to go to the most expensive steak.
So you're gonna have to choose your you're gonna have to make the decision as to whether or not you want to preemptively make that.
No, but Patrick, if you look, I'm very careful with my steak bets. I don't just throw those around lightly. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Anyway, so the next one was the 10-year Treasury yield below 2%. I already won this one,
and I was so wrong on this one.
Yes, and I
lost
only
$1.
owe you.
No, I owe you $1.
You owe me $1. Yeah.
So we'll just cross those two out. Okay.
All right. No, we're not. No, there is no crossing out.
Okay.
Bets do not cancel each other out. That would be like lame.
Okay.
Every bet is paid in full.
Okay. Understood.
Now, this was actually back on my birthday, April 19th. We made a bet that inflation will average more or less than 1.9% for the remainder of the year, and whoever loses has to pick up the tab for a night of beer drinking with 5 other market huddlers, which we've mostly got. I think we have 4 of the 5 defined now, don't we?
Yeah, I think we do. But listen, Patrick, I want to talk about this because I was all ready to kind of give in and kind of concede that I was going to lose this bet. But I was looking at the last CPI and it ran hot. And I was wondering if I have a chance. And then I wanted to know how we're going to define it because technically December CPI won't come out till January. So I want to figure out if I have a chance, kind of like Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance. And because I might have, maybe we might have to push it off to, well, maybe, you know what we'll do is we'll do the drinking with the huddlers regardless. I'll pay it preemptively that I'm going to lose. But if I end up being right, you're going to have to pay me back. How does that sound?
No, that's going to have to be.
Yeah, okay, that sounds good.
No, that's fair because a bet is a bet.
But do you agree that the December CPI is actually going to be in January so that we have to include the December?
That it is the inflation for the remainder of 2019. And I agree that if in January we're releasing the December numbers, that we have to wait till January to definitively, if you have a chance. But we have to find out what that number is. So you have the Bloomberg. What's going on?
Yeah, you know what? I didn't. My computer. crashed
if this thing is at
anyways,
1.8,
we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But that is very gentlemanly of you, Patrick. To
listen.
That.
No, a bet is a bet, right? Look at here.
No, but you're interpreting it in a very fair way.
It's 1.7% back in September.
No, I understand that, but I think this last one came in at 2.1.
Yeah, but that's not gonna. Yeah,
it might be tighter than you think.
The average of the whole year.
I know, but it might be tighter than you think. And are we including this April one or not? We got to, anyways. No.
Yeah. It was April 19th we made the bet, so it it would have to include it because we wouldn't have known the April data until May.
Yeah.
So yes, you would have to include.
It might be tighter than you think, buddy. Anyways, we'll see. How
we're going down to the decimal of one off the swing of 1.9.
I'll tell you what, Patrick. Do you want to double it up on stake for next year?
Let's save that for January.
Okay, fair enough. Okay,
let's first see how this bet comes in. Yeah. And I will tell you, I will bet with you, but I don't necessarily have to say it's 1.9 that we're betting. We have to figure out what is the right number, but I will bet you that inflation will be lower than you think.
It's very wise of you because you realize that that's my Achilles heel, and that if I'm going to overpay for something, that's the asset I'll overpay for. Wise, well done, Patrick. Okay, Go on, next trade.
All right. So Deutsche Bank, we were making the bet higher or lower first touch. $5 or 10, which comes first? This is a big deal. It's a steak dinner. You said you don't bet this steak dinners lightly.
Yeah, I still like it. I would still do that trade.
Oh my God! And by the way, we're just for our listeners so they know, we're betting in U.S. dollars. So this is not the euro dollar based Deutsche Bank price, but it's $7.48. Gaps higher the other day, and it's first touch 5 or 10. It's exactly in the middle. $7.48. You still don't look first touch. We'll find out. We'll find out. I'm not going to say anything else. All right. So that's still active. Obviously, this was a spectacular loss. The British pound versus U.S. dollar first touch 115 versus 129. It blew to 129 like nobody's business, and then went through that and doubled again.
So you know what, though, I will say, and you're talking about not Gucciing a trade, or you were kind of implying that earlier right now. I'll be honest with the listeners. I came in long the pound, and then I was giving Patrick a hard time last night as it was gapping higher, and I realized that I was angering the market gods with that sort of behavior. And I instantly went and halved the position because I was like, this is just bad. I'm like, when you start feeling like you got to rub it into your pal, you got to be unwinding it because that's the bad sign. That's a bad sign. So I sold half and it was a good sale, Patrick. I should have sold it all.
Yeah.
Should have sold it all, but I felt like I was angering and tempting the gods with that behavior. And so I am wise enough to realize when I start screwing up that bad that I got to, unwind.
Well, you know what? It was funny because that was what the exact message you sent to me right after. It's like, well, did I just do that? Was I just rubbing it in?
Yeah, was I just rubbing it in? Because I was rubbing it in, and then I realized what I was doing, and I was like, oh shit, that's terrible, and I'm gonna start unwinding because I realized that's the gods will punish you.
Yeah. So let's talk about where the stakes could not be higher.
The U.S. dollar menswear?
Yes, U.S. dollar yen. First
Shit,
touch.
I'm closer than I thought. It's 112 for you, 104 for me.
Yeah,
Where
it's at
is it right
109,
now?
dude. I'm much closer.
That's what I mean. I'm in trouble.
You are in trouble. I'm gonna win
shit.
this. No, I can't say that. I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
No,
you probably just beat you.
I've got the edge on the short term.
Yeah, it's
I've got the edge.
I wouldn't double this one up. Like I don't feel that strongly about it.
You did earlier in the show. You sounded pretty darn strong.
No,
about
I
this.
listen. I still feel that way. It just, and I wouldn't bet a stake on it.
Menswear is fine.
Yeah, menswear, like putting on socks and sandals and going to the bar and
Oh
drinking.
my
I'm
God!
good with it.
But not a steak. All right.
No.
Well, there you go. We now know your hierarchy of willingness to bet.
Well, when you tell me you're going to Kobe beef it or whatever, I'm kind of worried.
Anyway, that's that was the bets to review. And now looking at that, any thoughts looking back at that? Any regrets, or you feel pretty good about the ones they have left?
No, there's nothing. I don't really feel bad about any of my trades. Obviously I was wrong on the inflation. I feel like I was just early, which obviously is wrong. I feel like I realized when you were hesitant to bet me, it's like I'm a little too eager. So I think that might be a weakness. I might be a little too keen. And when you're a little too keen, you might do some things that you weren't supposed to do. So I'm going to go home and think about that. But otherwise, I feel good about everything. How about you? How do you feel?
Well, listen, you know what? I mean, when you're... No, I feel fine. I'm glad I took the bets I did. You know what? It's clear that I'm not going to go batting 100 on them all. One or two of those is going to go array. But I feel it makes a good show, and I think that I'm comfortable with the bets I made. I'm happy. Let's see how they play out.
Okay.
No.
Okay, Lena, hop on. Let's talk some beer.
Yeah. First of all, I want to talk about this picture.
Oh,
is that you on the right or the left?
I know. I tried to figure that out as well. I think I'm probably I'm bald and kind of got a squatter face and stuff. I feel like I'm on the left.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Maybe. Yeah.
Oh
no.
my God, look at the drool.
Yeah.
That's
you're
definitely
drooling.
me. That's definitely me.
And the one on the right's happier.
For those who are listening, there's these two dogs and they're in the back of a pickup truck and they've let's just say encountered a porcupine. And they are looking like they're smiling, but they are covered in porcupine quills.
Like some severely bad. That's crazy. That's not just one or two. There are hundreds of porcupines.
Well, you have dogs as well, Patrick. How many times have you had to the skunk? I wash them off with the skunk. It's brutal. Dogs will do that.
Yeah.
We don't have a ton of porcupines in
funny.
Ontario. Yeah, they're just I guess we shouldn't have done that. So I just can picture you.
That sounds like us on the show.
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't have done that. That was a bad trade. I told you that was dumb. What do you mean? You were there too. I told you it was going to break out.
That's us after one of these trades we agreed on. What did we we just agree on?
Yeah.
What's the one trade we both were convinced was going to happen? That's us afterwards.
Yeah, that's right. I told you it was going to break out. Okay, let's talk some beer. I'm excited to do this one. I drank both of my beers pretty quick, so they're
I'm
gone.
just finishing my last sip. I took my time.
Did you? So, Lena, ladies first. Go ahead. What did you think?
I already knew what I was going to give this as soon as I heard that this is what we were drinking.
What are you giving it?
It's 9.4.
Nice. Well done. Okay, Patrick, what do you think?
You know what? It is a drinkable, sessionable beer, and I would definitely buy this to drink. I would go to a liquor store and I would buy a 12-pack for a weekend for sure. I'll give it an 8.9, and it is sessionable, and I would recommend People buy it. No. Listen,
Okay.
I'm not trying to shit on it. I'm just not gonna
yeah.
go and give it 9.9 like you.
No,
but,
It wasn't sour enough.
8.9. It's a good beer, and I have nothing bad to say about it.
Okay. I am going to do a rookie move here. I'm giving it 10.
Off.
Wow.
That's how much I like that beer.
You can't do that. That's
I
you're
know
basically
it's-
saying it is.
there's no better beer.
You're saying that there. No, it's not only that it's that there is no better beer, but it is impossible for you in the future to ever run into a beer that could possibly be better than the one that you had. You should take this back to a 9.9, buddy.
Nope, not taking it back. What a call is a call.
10.
Rookie move.
You gotta own,
You know what?
gotta
It
own
is-
it.
It's a
I
rookie
can't believe
move.
you're
I
doing
get
this.
it.
I cannot believe
I know
you're
it's a
doing
rookie move. It's a rookie move. Dave Portnoy would be furious with me for doing not only a round number but a 10. It's a rookie move, but I'm doing it.
Just give it a 10.01 or something. Just say
listen,
it's like 11 on the
Patrick,
amp.
we went negative rates.
Spinal
I
Tap.
wanna go-
Spinal Tap. You're like, most amps only go to 10, but I'm giving this 11.
No, it actually went to 11, and then well, anyways, you got to see that, Patrick. Have you seen it?
Yes, Spinal Tap. I know the movie for sure.
Oh, you know it.
And you should give it a Spinal Tap right now. Forget it. Stop it. You're not giving it a 10. If you're gonna go Spinal Tap, go full Spinal Tap.
Okay, I'm going full Spinal Tap. It's 11. That's how much I like it.
There you go.
I'm making it worse. Another
All right.
rookie move.
No.
Okay.
Because if you go Spinal Tap, then everyone knows you just gone Spinal Tap. That's okay.
Okay.
It's better than giving it a 10 because then you're trying to make it too official.
Okay, it's an 11.
It's an 11.
It's an 11.
It is.
And Lena, your was 9.4.
Yeah.
Well, Lena, what were you? 9.4?
Yeah, 9.4.
Yeah, she was 9.4.
Yeah.
Okay, well, folks, have a great weekend.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun.
It was. I really, Patrick,
we
I love that idea. The fake out or breakout. Love it.
should
was a
play
lot
it
of fun.
again. We should play
it again.
We should even we should play with a few of our guests actually in the after hours. We should create 5 charts, and in the after hours we play the game with us, and we all between 3 of us make the calls.
Fake out or breakout. Sounds good.
All right.
Well, I'm gonna get going.
Yeah, it was great. Lena, thanks
great.
as always.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Have a great weekend,
And,
everybody.
Yeah, have a great weekend, everyone, and to be continued next week. Man, I
That's
can't
right.
believe Christmas is coming up soon. My 12
know.
pubs of Christmas is coming up.
Oh,
Are you
the
going to
12
try and
pubs.
make it out?
geez.
Or did you ask Mrs. Macro Tours for permission?
If I can get permission for the 12 pubs. Well, actually,
You need a
you know
day
what?
pass to get
So,
out?
Lena, I asked Patrick. I go, how many guys come and try to make the 12 pubs and then actually fail? And then how many are kind of smarter and say, like, I'll be there for these 3 beers? Oh, for those who don't know, the 12 pubs of Christmas is they go, Patrick and his friends, his friends, like, go
My
on
one
these,
friend. No, just
yeah, I don't know how many of you guys there are, but like I was going to come up with something that's
No, there's
degenerates.
like 20 to 30 of us that are going to be out.
Seriously?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And there's 20 or 30. How many of you do the whole 12
Dude,
pubs?
we got
Anyways, I didn't
T-shirts,
put-
dude.
Well, listen. So it must be official then. So for those who don't know, they go to a pub and they drink a full pint at every pub, and they go to 12 of them.
12 pubs in one night. 12 pubs of Christmas. It's an
I've done
English
that one
tradition, by the way.
Is it?
You
Oh,
know,
I didn't know that.
yes. Oh yeah, no. Like I learned it from. I was out in London, England, out in Chelsea, and that was doing a pub crawl over there, and they were all like talking about it. It's like, and me and my buddy are like, you know what, we got to bring this, and
You're
why
like,
not continue?
that sounds like a damn good idea.
That-
Let's do that.
as Canadians, it's like, man, the English are onto something. This is like a genius, right? And so we started here. This is the 3rd annual, and it's every year like 10 more people show up. It's like it's starting to build a little momentum, and it's great. It's you know what? First of all, like last year, I think only 6 people started it. And exactly like you said, a lot of people were the conservatives and said, I'll sneak in at pub 4 or 5, and I'll come for 3 of them or 4 of them, and, you know, I'll sober up and drive home or whatever, and just, you know, like I'm just going to lay low and behave myself, right? But this year, I've got a much larger amount of people saying they want to start at the beginning, and so before it was like 6 of us, but I think it's going to be a larger crowd that's going to try to go the distance.
Gosh, you know what we should do? We should have a over and under on how many will finish it.
Well, but you have to know how many are going to start it.
I know, but once you get there, that first one.
You know what's the biggest problem?
Somebody's going to have to
but you know what's the biggest problem in Toronto is actually not people finishing it. It's getting served. Once you're at that 10th, 11th, 12th beer, once you roll into these pubs, there's rules, right? They're not allowed to serve intoxicated people, right?
So Patrick, you're telling me you get cut off.
I did not get cut off, thank you very much. But
you know the problem.
I'm going to make a shout out to Bruce. Bruce got cut off because he doesn't know how to make it look like he's in control or something. I don't know. But
you know what the real
one
problem,
guy got cut.
About the 12 pubs of Christmas is that they stop serving us when we get really drunk.
But it's a problem. It's a problem.
What? You guys should go to England. I bet you they don't have that problem there.
No, I don't think they do. I do not think they do. This is a very Canadian problem where the bartenders are not allowed to serve drunk people, and then when you walk into a bar drunk, it's like they show you the door. But listen, I'm not going to jinx it. For 2 years, we were able to complete it. We're going to attempt to complete it a third time. Let's see if we can pull it off.
So everyone, just send us your odds of Patrick completing it and getting cut off or not.
I finished 2 years in a row, so it's pretty bad odds if you're betting against me.
But wait, what do you do besides drinking a pint at each pub?
Nothing. You just drink a pint at each pub and you go to the next one.
Because I've done 12 pubs of Christmas with my friends before.
There you go. Lena's like...
Every pub, we played a game.
Of what?
So one of them was like, we weren't not allowed to speak to each other or to anyone, but we had to order beers. So we were using our phones to like show them the texts.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that you're kind of staying alert, so you're not getting super drunk too quickly.
No,
towards the end of the
but we have a very strict schedule. It's a half an hour. Like we have actually like at 6:30 we're going to be at this pub. We're going to be at 7 o'clock on this pub. Like it's a very defined.
Oh, we started at like 2 in the afternoon.
No. We're like a half an hour a pub for 6 hours. Like
they play strict rules.
No, and
strict rules of the 12 pubs of Christmas.
You have to do 2 pints an hour, right? Like
2 pints. Oh Jesus.
So Patrick, do you remember when we were in university and there was the Century Club?
Yes.
Which was basically a shot.
100 beer. It's a shot of beer.
A shot of beer every minute, which doesn't sound that tough. And then you figure out how much it is.
But you're not allowed to go to the bathroom. It's really...
Well, that's strict rules. That's strict rules. And I remember these engineers on my floor played Strict Rules Bicentennial Club. They did 200. They were pretty messed up. Well, engineers are kind of, they're kind of hardcore.
You should play a game at every pub and say, find a Santa and take a picture with them.
Lena, when you do those things as a girl, it's cute. With a guy, it's just just creepy.
No, but it's funny for me to watch.
Okay.
Lena, are you gonna come out with Luke?
Maybe.
You should. No.
Somebody has to shut down.
You have to do that like 1 or 2 bar appearance. No, Kev, I know that Mrs. Macro Tourist is gonna have a hard time letting you out of the house. It's like
what we really should do is have the 12 pubs of Christmas. We should go and record a part of the show at every pub.
Oh,
whatever. Like you're gonna make it for 12 pubs. I call bullshit on that, dude.
Yeah, it's a good call. That's a good call because that's it.
We're gonna record a part of the show at the first 2 pubs before Kevin quits.
You got it, Patrick. I'm way too old and not like I just.
Whatever. Like you're so much older than me.
Yeah,
you're so much older than me.
Well, then maybe
you look
smarter
older than
or
me.
wiser.
Yeah. Yes, smarter, wiser. Yeah,
I'll go with that.
I
I'm much
burn
too
the wick
wise.
at both ends. I might not live as long as you, Kev, but you know what?
It's actually true. Patrick goes hard. When we went to Chicago, we went to the Money Show, and I was like, Patrick and I, we drink a few beers while we do this and stuff. I had never been out for a full night of like going hard, and I was shocked at like you seem to accelerate at the wee hours in the morning, which is just not very smart. Like I tell my daughter, I always say, no good comes of like shots at 2 a.m. It's just never a good thing. And Patrick's like, oh, you know what? Like we were just all out at bars all night, and we get back to the house, and he's like, who wants to do shots? And I'm like, what the fuck? It's like 2 a.m. We gotta like present tomorrow morning. I do not want to do shots.
Nightcap.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, Patrick. And he's like, "Who wants to do shots?" And you guys are wimps. And he's like telling us, he's like,
Patrick's still a 20-year-old bro.
He really is. He really is.
I'm living young, my friend.
Well,
No.
anyways, we'll leave it at that. Have a great weekend, folks.
All right, great weekend. And Kev, hey, Mrs. Macro Tourist, you talking her into coming too? We're gonna
I'll try to do it. Like it's not Mrs. Macro Tourist that's stopping me from doing the 12.
Oh my God, whatever.
It's me. I'm gonna own it. I'll own it. I think it's crazy. I think it's fun.
Oh, but listen, you don't have to
do
come for all 12. You just gotta show up and do a little Christmas cheer. That's what it's all
actually
about.
feel like I should come for the last 3 just to watch this because it's gonna be just a shit show. It's gonna be too much fun. I feel like I should just stay up late and like wait for the 3.
Where's the first bar? Where's the first pub?
It's all on Roncesvalles on just south of Bloor, and it's like at the south end of it. I'm gonna have to look at the map. I don't even know the name of the bar, but it starts at 6.
Okay, well I want to
6
go.
to
I'm
midnight.
starved, guys. Let's just
All right.
call it
Yeah,
a day.
later.
We'll,
all right.
We'll have some good stories. I might come for the last 3 just to see what it's like because this just sounds like a gong show. Okay. Have
Anyway,
a great weekend, everyone.
we're recording the show before I even go there, so we'll talk about it next week.
Okay. Take care.
Okay. All right. Take care, everyone.
Okay. Bye-bye.